Hey everyone, this is Jose Baeza and welcome to another episode at our YouTube channel. In this episode, we're going to cover as to how to manage your expenses and also how to increase your revenues. Before we get started, for those of you guys that are brand new to the channel, please go ahead and consider subscribing as it helps our algorithm. Clicking the like and notifications button on this video so that more people can see our content and be able to help them. Before we get started, we want to go ahead and give you an update with our channel. It has been growing, it has been amazing, and thank you so much for those of you guys that have supported us. We are open to suggestions as to what other topics you guys would like to hear from us. Today we want to go ahead and talk about managing cash flow. As you guys know, the economy is always up and down, and as entrepreneurs we really sometimes don't have much of a safety net. Even if you have an extra job, or maybe perhaps you have multiple streams of income where the money's coming in, at the end of the day it's about the numbers, and the numbers need to make sense. And for us entrepreneurs, it's always important to know where the market is. And if the revenue is good, we want to make it even better. But if it's not, we also want to make sure that we can reduce some of the costs, and that comes back down to managing your cash flow. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is really just managing your cash flow and how essential it is to the health of your business. So for us to be able to do so, we want to make sure that we can track everything that comes out of the business, everything that comes into the business, up to the little minuscule detail as costs such as lunch, even perhaps some of the expenses that we have with either your office rent or any expenses that you may have. Every little bit counts. Once you start adding on everything, it just comes out to a big lump sum at the end of the week, at the end of the month, especially at the end of the year. So it is very important to cover day-to-day costs. Even if it doesn't seem very important, it's important, and you have to go ahead and figure out a way where you can track. Nowadays, everything's super easy because you can go to your credit card and be able to really see exactly where do you currently stand. The second tip is really managing your cash flow. It is important for you to have an idea as to what you're spending your money on. Again, every little bit counts and everything leads to a bigger amount. It is important to identify the areas in which you're spending the most amount of cash flow in. Whether it's personal or business, it is always important to be able to have access to this information. And it's not so much as how much money you make, but rather how much money you keep. That brings me to the main next point, which is really strategies on how to reduce your expenses. That includes negotiating with suppliers, better pricing at some of the costs of your business, as well as increasing your marketing efforts. Sometimes it is much better to spend money and invest money on marketing than it is to cut down on some of those essential departments. Because the more marketing you have, the more deals you'll end up getting, the more business you'll end up generating. So when things don't necessarily go your way, marketing is really where you should bump it up. Which brings me to my next point, and that's increasing your revenue. Being able to consider new products, such as maybe perhaps diversifying into something that you didn't know or you didn't have an idea as to how to get started, maybe this is the time to do so. It is always a great way for you to explore new areas and be able to see if maybe there's another niche that your business can go into. And you'll be able to not only attract better customers, but maybe perhaps reach new levels of success that your business did not experience in the past. You want to definitely create a new cash reserve as well. Be able to know that you have enough money to cover your day-to-day expenses in your business, and more importantly, to grow, because it's not just about staying in one area, but rather being able to grow and expand. But cash reserves are always very important because they cover some of the most essential pieces of your business, which is such as rent, marketing, things that are really important to grow your business and to keep it going. When there's a storm going, you would definitely want to have that umbrella ready, even if you don't need it at the moment. The other point that I want to go ahead is really having a clear understanding of your cash flow projections. Everything's good, but when things don't go your way, that's because sometimes we weren't expecting it, right? Whether a deal falls through the cracks, maybe perhaps a client decides not to move forward with your product, maybe perhaps you're just starting and something happens with the rent and now you have to pay a little bit more. So many things can happen. As entrepreneurs, we have to make sure that we anticipate these things and that we can project how much much money and how much revenue are we going to be bringing in. Right now that we're going into recession, it is up for debate for some people, but it is important to realize and be realistic about what the revenues may look like in the next 6 months to a year. But see, the economy is always going to be going up and down, and depending on your industry, this particular moment, your industry may be going up or maybe going down, but it's always important to be able to predict where do you currently stand and what are some of the things that you can see in the future so that you can get ready for those. Now, the other thing too is really considering cash flow management tools. So a couple of things that I wrote down here that I want to mention to you guys is such as a cash flow statement, cash flow forecasting, any other tools that are out there that are technology wise that you can connect all of your information there so that you can track exactly how much money you're bringing in, how much it's coming out. One of the things that my mentor taught me is that it's not so much as how much money you're bringing, it's rather how much money you're keeping. Because you can make $1 million, but if you're having almost $1 million coming out, it doesn't make much of a difference. So you definitely want to figure out what are some of the tools that are out there that you can use. So there's many things that you can do at the moment. The most important part and the most important thing that in my opinion you can do is be aware as to where you currently stand. And that's going to help you out managing your cash flow. We're gonna have way more topics, and I wanted to go ahead and just touch upon this one because it's very important for you to know exactly where you stand. For those of you guys that are interested in learning a little bit more about perhaps maybe some other tools or maybe even just being able to have an additional stream of income, definitely feel free to reach out through our website or even just through the channel. We do offer a great affiliate program for those of you guys that are interested in having an extra stream of income and referring business over for anyone that's looking for funding. And again, this is Jose Baeza. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Talk to you guys soon.